Hi, Dr. Mindy Shaw here, and welcome to another episode of Teaching Humanity Remotely. Today I want to discuss that one of the best teachers that I have is watching myself in my life as I'm in it. So sort of having this separation of being able to be my own witness. So I was having this conversation with my daughter, and I made a recommendation as to how she should handle a situation with her daughter. And she was very quiet. So I knew that she wasn't in agreement with me. We were on the phone, so that's not the best way to communicate either. And so I said to her, you're not going to do that, are you? And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And she gave me her reasons why. And I heard her, and I felt like a little bit offended. And I felt embarrassed to be offended. I felt a little ashamed to be offended. I thought I was speaking to her with pure intentions. And when you speak with someone with pure intentions, it's very okay for someone to disagree with what I have to say. And yet I was like a little bit hurt. And I was like carrying that a little bit for a day or two. And I kind of prayed to not make her wrong at all, to not hold anything against her not agreeing with me, and for me to allow myself feeling disappointed in myself for reacting the way I did. I was really surprised. And I was also holding the space about timing. You know how I'm really working on seeing that everything in due time and things come to fruition, and about patience. And we've had many podcasts about that, and many questions you've asked about that issue, about how long do you wait? When do you try to rush it along as opposed to just having things naturally move in the way that they naturally move? And so anyway, a few days later, I spoke with my daughter again about the same subject, but I heard what she said. I heard what she said, not in the moment, but in my head I was reflecting upon what she said a few days ago. And I saw it from her perspective. And instead of making myself wrong or making her wrong, I started the conversation from how she was going to handle it. And I said, you're a really good mom, and you're going to handle it this way, and I'm sure the other mom will do the same with her child, and the importance of front loading. And it was just such a nice, easy conversation. I never had to say to her, the last time we spoke and you didn't agree with me, that hurt my feelings, because that was really all about me, and I was embarrassed about it. It's not even that I wanted her to feel that burden. I was surprised I had that reaction, so I really just had to totally reflect on my response completely on my own. And a few days later, it was all so different, and it was again, I thought, I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to share a perfect example of why timing is so important, how I perceive something in one moment, in another moment I can understand it in a really different way. By not making her wrong in how she responded, we ended up in the exact same place that I felt was the most comfortable place to be. She's still going to handle it her way, and it's going to be perfectly fine. That other mom's going to handle the situation that way. It's going to be perfectly fine. But what we saw in the waiting, what the lesson was, we wanted the same thing. And she's a mom with her way of being and her relationship with her daughter. And I might have handled it a little differently, but there's no better or worse way. And when she was quiet and she wasn't going to do what I recommended, I had no reason to take any offense to that, because she wasn't saying I was wrong. It just wasn't her way. You know what I'm saying? She was just saying, I'm going to do it this way. And really, her way worked perfectly fine. And my way would have worked perfectly fine. And it was all about front-loading conversations so that as the children go to school together, they know that they have safe ways to learn how to socialize together as buddies, and also incorporating making new friends. And it was really just such a lovely experience. But what was best about it was seeing my reaction, taking full responsibility for feeling hurt based on my own total feelings. It had nothing to do with her hurting my feelings. I was very responsible about that. Not having to negotiate or talk to her about anything I was feeling, because that was all my stuff. And then giving it a few days and just starting the conversation from a different point and ending exactly where it needed to go with complete perfection. And it really was, once again, a lesson about timing is everything, perception is the reality, and knowing how to have grace enough to be patient. This is really important because I get so many questions about how to be patient when dealing with children, when you want them to do something 20 minutes ago and it's taking 5 days. And it's like that with us too, when you're waiting in line at the bank, and how to use the time wisely and not be resentful, or in traffic. And when you're in line in traffic and you handle that with grace, and your children are in the back seat and they see you handling it with grace, it's a very different learning lesson than when you're cursing the standstill traffic. So to be mindful of how we are and how we show up in the world, and that patience really is a virtue when we can afford that patience. And we can afford that patience when we're in a balanced place. And when we're not in a balanced place, it might be very challenging, and that's our responsibility, and to know and mark the difference and be able to articulate that with your children. Until next time, please feel free to ask me anything at learnwithmeremotely@gmail.com. And please feel free to visit my author's page, Dr. Mindy Shaw Paperbacks, at Amazon. Thank you.